So today we're going to be spending a lot of our time unpacking precisely what this specific question entails. Um, Now, this particular question, if I bring you to the question itself, here it is: does winning a free and fair election automatically confer a mandate for governing? Now, this is a particularly tricky question, I have to say, for the junior prize, but this doesn't mean you should fear this question and choose a different one instead. I think there's a real potential in this question to unpack some of these complex terms, to really present yourself as a candidate that understands this tricky question, rather than choosing what I think are probably the more easy ones um, in the other questions provided by John Locke, the John Locke Institute. So what are we specifically going to be doing today? Well, the primary objective is to thoroughly dissect this question. We're going to provide a detailed analysis of the key terms, its context, and any potential nuances or hidden complexities. I'm going to encourage you to think critically by exploring the various interpretations or perspectives that may arise from the question. Now, to do this, we're going to begin with a discussion of the general direction overall of the question, before going into a more specific breakdown of these keywords. And I've tried to divide the question into three kind of components illustrated as such with these colors. We're then going to tackle some of the hidden nuances or complexities in the question. So we're going to break down words that are a bit more ambiguous. We're going to look at the assumptions of the question. Now, let's begin by breaking down this. Let's begin by looking at the overall direction of the question, as I mentioned, and explaining actually what this means, because it is quite a complex one, especially for the junior competition. So what does this question mean? Now, I've given a bit more basic summary here, or a kind of more basic way of phrasing what the question is getting at below. So winning democratic elections provides authority to govern. Now, that's basically what this question means. Does winning a free and fair election, so that is a democratic election. In any Western democratic country today, this is what a free and fair election is getting at. Automatically a confer, so by default, without hesitation, as soon as somebody, a party, a politician is elected by a free and fair election, then they are instantly, without any dispute, given, so confer is given, provided with a mandate for governing. Now, a mandate for governing, this word mandate, I'll put this in bold because this is the tricky question here that you may not be familiar with. And now mandate is, to put it simply, authority to govern. So you've won an election and the system provides that you are instantaneously, automatically provided the authority to govern. Now, this is really important actually, because when we think about politics more generally, now, as I said, I'm giving you an overview into what this is getting at, the themes, the discussions, the debates, the ideas that this question is pushing you towards. This is actually a very interesting question because it seems quite specific, but it's getting at something, a big issue, dilemma in politics, which makes it very interesting. It's exploring the notion of legitimacy. Now, let's take a second to think about, this. Okay, inevitably, this is a question associated with politics. This is a question associated with political theory, but also things like history, economics. Very important implications for economics, and history is incredibly concerned with how different regimes, institutions, theorists, thinkers have grappled with the question of political legitimacy. Why is this important? Okay, well, I think we take for granted quite often our political institutions, our political norms. What makes a state right? Why is it that your particular government is legitimate, just, appropriate? Why do people accept it? What is the best form of politics, of a political regime, of a state? Because politics isn't scientific. There's no definitive best outcome. There's no equation we can churn out to produce the best political format. A lot of people say it's democracy, at least in the Western world. But history would tell us that democracy has never been a permanent institution once it's been achieved. Many states that have gone to democracy have crumbled and have turned to other regimes. Democracy was a feature of antiquity. That was definitely not stable. We went back to absolute monarchy, dictatorships as recent as the 20th century.